Good afternoon, everybody. I'm your host, Katie, and you're listening to The KAKE Show. I'm here today with Alessandra, Kevin, Mr. Placino, and Liz, and we'll be discussing euthanasia. Euthanasia, or physician-assisted suicide, is the act of killing an individual who is very ill or injured in order to prevent future suffering. Opponents of euthanasia and physician-assisted suicide contend that doctors have a moral responsibility to keep their patients alive. They argue there may be a slippery slope from euthanasia to murder, and that legalizing euthanasia will unfairly target the poor and disabled and create incentives for insurance companies to terminate lives in order to save money. Those who support euthanasia argue that individuals have the same right to euthanasia as they do to marriage, procreation, and the refusal of life-saving medical treatment. What do you guys think?
I think that it should definitely be legal because if a person's suffering that much and they know eventually, very soon, that they're going to die, they should be able to kill themselves because they're hurting right now. And if the death penalty is legal, why can't they make this legal?
I feel euthanasia should be illegal because basically when you're in suffering, you're in a state of mind that you don't comprehend what's happening at the moment. All you're thinking about is you're suffering, you want to end it. But maybe there's a chance. There's a chance that you could survive. And why not live it out? Why not see if that chance will succeed? Like, you basically, everyone, when you're in the stage also known as suffering, you feel like there's no point in living. You feel like all you want is death. All you want is to end your suffering. But that thinking is incorrect at the time because you never know if suffering is what's leading you to think that death is the only reason for you to survive. I mean, to basically end your life.
All right, go ahead.
But what if someone's in a coma for half a year?
Or if there's terminal cancer, which they are absolutely sure they're going to die in less than a month, and they're really suffering and they're it's going to happen. Why can't they just end it earlier to get rid of at least the pain that they're feeling now?
Well, the term euthanasia comes from the Greek, and it means good or well. Basically, the Judeo-Christian view on it is that it shouldn't happen, that only God can end life. Other notable people like Socrates and Plato and other people said that it's okay because it adds to the dignity of life. And just as you said, if a person has terminal cancer, suffering greatly, and really has a very limited time to live, are you being kinder and more compassionate letting that person die than letting them suffer for a disease that has no cure? So that's where the debate rages, and there's no really clear-cut answer, all right? My religious beliefs are Judeo-Christian, so it's difficult for me to say, yes, I agree with euthanasia, but I can see the other side's point.
I have something to add to that. So one common argument for why euthanasia should be illegal is a lot of people say you can't play God. One really infamous individual when regarding euthanasia is Dr. Kevorkian, and he died after serving 8 years in prison and for assisting people in euthanasia. The actual time he spent in prison was because he had assisted in over 130 suicides. But for one of them, his patient was terminally ill and couldn't press the button. Before this, he had hooked up many people to the IVs, and then they would press the button themselves. But because of the fact that he pressed the button, because the patient couldn't do it himself, he was sentenced from 10 to 25 years in prison. One of his arguments was, we play God all the time. When you give someone antibiotics, you're playing God. So people, you by saying you're playing God, you can't kill someone. You're in that sense playing God too by saying, I'm more knowing of this than you are. I have more authority over this. So I thought that was an interesting statement for him to make.
There's two types of euthanasia: passive euthanasia and active euthanasia. Passive is the person really doesn't want it. The active one person actually goes out and decides that he chooses or she chooses that she wants to end her life. Okay.
Wait, passive euthanasia is the person doesn't want it. Wouldn't it be considered?
Just so out of it that they
they're not
can't make a
conscious?
decision. Actually, it's legal in Belgium, Netherlands, and Oregon. It's legal. The argument for euthanasia is that people have the right to self-determination, and they should be allowed to determine their own fate. The distinction between passive euthanasia, which is often permitted, and active euthanasia, which is not substantive, or that the underlying principle of the doctrine of double effect is unsound. I think that countries, and there was a Dr. Kevorkian. Does anybody know Dr. Kevorkian or heard of him?
We just
He's
discussed him.
considered the death doctor. And he did over, Kevorkian is his name, Dr. Kevorkian. He died in 2011. He's a pathologist and euthanasia activist. He championed a terminal patient's right to die via physician-assisted suicide. He's claimed to have assisted at least 130 patients, and he was also often known by the nickname Dr. Death. And he was arrested and tried for his direct role in the case of voluntary euthanasia. He was convicted of second-degree murder, served 8 years of his 10 to 25-year prison sentence. So he went to jail. When you talked about euthanasia, when I was growing up, he was the person that was mostly mentioned. Okay.
I have another argument against euthanasia. People believe that with euthanasia, the only person that's going to be affected is the person killed. But basically, there's many components to that. First of all, you have the assistant in whoever assisted with the suicide. How would they feel psychologically after knowing they just assisted in killing this human being? They just ended another life abruptly. Other people that would be affected would be the family of the member who died. How, are they okay with this situation? Or do they agree with it? I mean, you have to come into consideration the emotions and psychological viewpoints of not only the person being killed, but everyone else that's being affected by them.
Wouldn't you say, though, that that kind of contradicts itself? Because if someone wants to end their lives, they're being selfish. But if someone says, I don't want you to kill yourself because I'm going to feel bad about it, then that's also being selfish. So you really, it's a lose-lose situation.
Kevin, how could you be laughing on the show?
I just got on that. So.
All right.
I think there has to be regulations of who can use it and why, because I believe if, the doctor might feel bad that they killed this person, but if he's seen this person, really struggle and realize that it's better off that this person is going to die, then I think, that should be one of the cases.
Mm-hmm. They have so much pain relief today, though. You don't really have to suffer like you did maybe 20, 30 years ago. There's so much drugs out there to relieve the pain that a lot of people feel that that's not justified. How do you guys feel about that?
Well, it says here that 55% of terminally ill patients die in pain. So that's more than half. So I would say that that's not fair. That if they don't want to be in pain, if they want to end their suffering instead of suffering and then dying anyway, I think that's fine.
Okay. Allie, how do you feel?
I agree with what she said because it's people are struggling, and even if it's not like you have terminal cancer, but you're really old and it's really hard for you to just move and do daily things, and like that kind of struggling, people should have the choice to if they want to end their life or not.
Mr. Kevin?
I mean, end of the day, I see it as you've been given this chance to live your life as a human being. Why give it away like that? I mean, we're not sure if everyone has their own beliefs. We're not sure if we've been put here on earth religiously or scientifically, however everyone sees it. But at the end of the day, we're living this beautiful moment right now, and why not just be able to like fulfill the life? Why? I mean, we could have been living as an ant. I mean, not to be too comedic or anything, but I mean, we should appreciate what we have right now and live it to its fullest. That's how I see it.
But you're not living it to the
Yeah,
fullest.
they can't live their life to the fullest
I
right
mean-
now.
I mean, they're pretty. When they reach this stage where euthanasia comes in, they're pretty much at the end of the rope. You know, they don't have a quality of life usually, and the way I look at it, if you have a quality of life or a semblance of a quality of life, you should fight it. You should fight it, and get yourself through it. But if you're in severe pain and there's no hope for you getting better, I mean, the compassionate thing would be to assist that person in choosing if they wanted to live or die. You know.
I have one question. Does
Yeah.
euthanasia apply only to those in severe pain, or would it be able to be distributed to anyone who basically asks for it?
No.
I think
no.
it should have regulations that it has
Yeah.
to be like the doctor has to agree to it, the patient it has to be like a lot of rules.
It has to. I mean, it has to fit certain criteria, certain standards, and this person really has to be. There's no hope for him. Or her.
I personally think that it shouldn't matter, that everyone has the right to govern their own lives, and people can commit suicide anyway. It's not like that's impossible. But by doing this, you give an effective and safer method for the person so that they're not. We have a phone call. Hello.
He didn't answer.
Hello.
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 Well,
Hello.
Hi. I'm listening to your program right now,
Right.
and I just wanted to say, say I was depressed, just a hypothetical. I was very depressed, and I wanted to commit suicide, but I was very scared to do it myself. Do you think it's all right for me to hire someone to kill me?
I think it is. I think that depression can be a very, very difficult thing for people, and it's an illness, and it's very hard to overcome. And some people live their whole lives on antidepressants that just make them anxious or crazy and different things like that. And if they come to if they feel that they want to kill themselves, I think that they should be able to do that, and they should be able to hire someone to do that.
I don't think it should be. I think it should only be for someone in like physical pain, and I do agree that depression is you are struggling in a way, but I don't think it should be used for something like that.
I just think, who are we to say what other people can or cannot do? That's just my opinion.
What do you think, Liz?
About it in general?
Yeah, why not?
everything.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, no one likes to hear no, so if that's what they want done, I think they should be able, to get it done. And
All right, but I mean, like, we've all had the moment where we've gotten depressed for like a few minutes, all right? Just a little time, right? I've had moments where I feel like dying. But I mean, I've lived life a little bit longer, and I've said, wow, I was really stupid. Why would I say something like that? Because life has other things. Like, what I'm trying to say is, in the moment that you're depressed, you have an image in your head that nothing else matters, that you should just die. And I feel like you should not give the person the ability to kill themselves at that moment. You should let them see if there's another possibility a little bit longer before they actually come to that conclusion that they must.
Some people have been depressed though, like their whole life.
But not because not everyone. It's not the same for everyone. Everyone is in a different situation, and that's why when they do perform euthanasia, they say, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" They repeatedly ask them. This isn't just like one day someone wakes up and goes, "Oh, I'm gonna hire someone to kill myself today." They obviously think about this, and they have to, they really ask them and make sure they're okay with this. And yes.
Mr. P?
Well, I don't really believe in it. It goes against, my religious upbringing, but then again, I cannot fault someone who's in severe pain and has no chance of living to end their lives. So I'm a little conflicted with it, obviously, but I don't think it should be done just for somebody that's depressed or somebody that, faces some pain, or I think it really has to be the last resort, and that's a personal decision. I guess that's maybe not a definite answer, but that's the way I'm looking at it.
Okay, so thank you everyone for watching. We talked a lot about euthanasia and discovered many different opinions. I'm your host, Katie. This is the KAKE Show, and this is Alessandra and Kevin and Mr. Placino and Liz. Thank you for watching.